everyone, welcome to another live stream. It's quite fun going live at the weekend. I hope you've all had a really lovely summer. I took a walk this morning and it definitely feels like we're coming into autumn. I mean, it was sunny, but the weather's changing, it feels cold. It definitely feels like it's time for a new semester. And so at the university this weekend, the incoming students, so our new kind of year one students, are actually moving in. So it is move-in weekend for the new incoming students. And it's, I think it's a fun weekend. I can imagine, there's a few nervous people arriving on campus as I'm speaking. So you could tell that it's the move-in weekend because the campus starts to get ready. So there's like cones that start appearing in the car park to like mark out certain bays for unloading of equipment and bits and pieces. And they do it really well, right? So they try to get it so that the students can unload as close to their accommodation as possible. And they have helpers with like the cars and stuff, because I remember going to university and not being quite sure what to take with me. I think I turned up for my first week and I wasn't in catered accommodation. So I had to do my own cooking. And I think I turned up with like a plate, a knife, a fork, and actually no way of doing any cooking. I don't think I had any saucepans with me or a frying pan or anything. Let me just minimise that. So I had to go and buy them. And I got a friend who lent me their camping set. So I could actually make some meals for the first couple of weeks of semester. So it's quite an intensive weekend. So if you're somebody who's moving into their university accommodation, I hope it's going well. I mean, I think there's a lot to do. You've got to find your room, set your room up a little bit, find your bearings, meet the people in your corridor or your hall or your flat, whoever your accommodation does it. Get, your bearings around the campus a little bit. There's a lot going on. And I just say, take it step by step. The important things to do are to make sure that you've registered in however way your university wants you to do it. So most universities require incoming students to register and get some kind of university card. Quite often this might be referred to as a library card. And it kind of gives you like your identification. So it'll give you some reference ID, some kind of number that associates you as an incoming student with the university. And then you can use that to access certain things around the campus. So getting that done is usually quite good. And then next week on campus, I won't be doing any teaching, because we call it like our welcome week. I didn't get this when I was a student. I had a welcome weekend, I think, which wasn't quite the same. But this is basically a whole week where it is just students who are new. So the incoming new cohort of students have a week ahead of everybody else arriving back in the later years. And it's a chance for you to kind of like find your feet a little bit more. And also to do some of the necessary kind of induction processes that goes on when you join a university. So within the physics department, I'm a physics lecturer within our physics department, there's a week-long set of activities for our new incoming students. Now those activities have to be kind of like coordinated and dovetailed with the activities that go on across the wider university. So there'll be some activities that happen within the department, some activities that happen within the Students' Union, and some that might be happening across the wider campus. And, in the department, quite often it's things like getting to know your new class friends. So you might have fun activities. I think last year we had like escape room boardroom activities. We might be doing something similar, I think, this year. There was quite often a welcome talk. So you might get like a welcoming address from either your head of school or maybe the director of learning and teaching. And then you might have some kind of evening reception. And again, that will probably be, I guess, in some kind of common room relating to your department. And that might be a chance for you to get to meet academic members of staff alongside meeting your new classmates. And then, of course, you're going to also most likely in that induction week get the chance to meet your personal tutor. So every year, I get allocated new incoming students to be tutees that I then look after as they go throughout their studies at the university. And so I'll take new students on both in year one, who are just starting out on their bachelor's or their master's. And I also have new students who are doing a standalone master's course at the university. And I meet both of those groups of students in this induction week. And it means that as an academic, it's quite nice, right? So you always have students typically at the different stages of their kind of university journey. I know everyone uses the journey word, but university journey. So I've got students who are in their final year of either a bachelor's programme or a master's programme. I've got students who are currently out on maybe a placement or doing some kind of international year of travel. I've got students in their second year, and of course my new incoming first year students. So every year I try to like refresh my office space. So I have to do one of these videos at the university so you can see my new officey area. I moved a couple of bookcases around. I got some new plants. I actually got a new plant pot that's empty, ready, because I think it's the second week of the actual semester starting. They have a really good plant sale. And typically it's meant for students to get plants for their new bedrooms. But actually, I want to get a new plant for my office. I need to get something really hardy that stays alive, that doesn't require too much kind of care and attention. So that's on my to-do list. But anyway, as an academic, so next week, all these activities will be happening for our new students, and I will drop in and out of some of them. So I'll go to some of the social events to say kind of hi and meet people. I'll obviously meet my new personal tutees, but it's also the week where as an academic, you double check that your modules are ready for the semester that's about to start. So again, most universities will have their modules, some kind of online interface. So you have like some kind of portal often that you log into to be able to see lecture notes, module notes, to see questions maybe, or to upload your coursework. And I think I've talked about this in like past videos. So I have module pages that I have to kind of curate and look after. So it's important that those module pages go live before the students actually start the course. They can get a feel of what they need to be ready to do, what the topics are going to be covered, what is the recommended textbook for that course. So all my pages are now live, but I will go ahead next week and I will just double check that everything's in the right place and all the correct students are enrolled and everything looks like it should do, basically. And then at the end of this week, that's the end of our kind of welcome week. And then the following one is when the teaching actually starts. So I've now got my teaching timetable. And if you watched one of my earlier recorded videos, I talked about how I block my time out. And that is something I definitely am grateful that I've done already. So in that video, I talked about how I allocate time for my lectures, my PhD students, my master students, my research work, just to make sure I can get everything into the working week that I need to. Because when the lectures start, I find anyway that the weeks just fill up really, really quickly. I'm also juggling conferences. So, quite often people think that conferences happen just during the summer, and it's not the case. The key conferences that I often go to often happen in the autumn semester at the same time as teaching. And so I have to make sure that I get both things working. I can see people in the live chat by hi, yes, well done for catching us live. Hi, welcome to the chat. But yeah, so it's a balancing act, right? Because I have to teach my classes, but equally I need to go to these conferences because that's where we exchange research ideas, share the research that we've done over the summer. So I've already got timetabling to shuffle the lectures a little bit to give me space to be able to go to some of these conference events. But that means, of course, that it kind of reduces your lecture preparation time because I'm putting things kind of closer together and I'm away doing bits and pieces. So there's not as long to prepare potentially for your lectures. Now, that's fine this year because I'm teaching lecture courses that I've already taught before. So, these classes, I've given them for several years. I know the teaching material. And that's so helpful because it gives you that kind of freedom to do, I guess, a little bit more research because your teaching materials are already ready to go. So yeah, once the teaching starts, it's kind of full on. So I do one module course and I like to try to have a few live demonstrations in it. It's kind of like on classical mechanics. So, I try to have things physically moving so the students can see the principles that we're discussing. But now I've got to work out which lecture rooms I've been allocated and if and how I can get the equipment to those lecture theatres, how it will work with my timetabling. Because I can't lug loads of stuff over to a lecture theatre if I've not got enough time beforehand to set it up. So I've got to kind of coordinate when I show those demonstrations to the class. But honestly, I'm really looking forward to it. I always think this is a nice time of year. It's nice to see returning students. So obviously our students have had their summer break, so it's nice to see people coming back into their next year of study. And then I've got projects that are still finishing out. So I've got some master students projects that are still running out through until January to complete. They'll be good. And then we have our new students to start giving the lecture classes to. So I find it's a really fun time on campus. But it is a busy time. I think it's a busy time for students. It's a busy time for academics. In some senses, it's quite nice because we're quite a long way away from the exams at the moment. So I think, as it gets closer towards like the November, December months, for us, we're starting to get closer towards the exams happening after that kind of winter vacation. And I think that kind of slightly maybe changes the dynamic of your kind of classes in those last few weeks. At the moment, we're quite a long way away from the exams. So in my modules, there are kind of mid-class, I guess, assessments and tests, and there's laboratory class components. But the main exams happen at the start of 2025. And so, yeah, we've got some distance at the moment between a lecture starting and then that exam period. And that's quite nice. It means that people can enjoy, hopefully, the lecture content and the lecture material. But yeah, every year I try to mix it up. So this year I've done a bit more background reading on some of the kind of the scientists that I talk about. Because what I try to do is I try to not only talk about the actual physics. So obviously, I need to teach the physics. I've got to teach the principles, the ideas, the theories, and all of that stuff. But at the same time, I kind of like to share a little bit about the people who are behind these ideas. Quite often in physics, we call equations and things by like Newton or Kepler, and actually those names refer to real people. And I think it's quite interesting sometimes to learn a little bit about the history of that person and how that impacted the physics they were doing. So I try to weave that into my lectures as we go throughout the year. And as every year, I try to read a little bit more around it. And then I've got a few events coming up. So outside of the university, I also do speaking activities. I do stand-up comedy, which I really enjoy. But I've got a few outside lectures outside of the kind of the campus framework to deliver, which will be fun. I've got a few more of those coming up after the kind of the holiday period at the start of January, which is really good. Do a podcasting still. So there's other stuff going on alongside the kind of the academic stuff. And I think that's really important. As an academic, yes, a huge part of my job is the teaching, and I do really enjoy the teaching. But equally, a huge part of my job is the research, and in my case, science communication as well, kind of communicating those research ideas. And so, yeah, it's just trying to get the balance. I can see in the comments, yeah, I agree. Knowing about the people, I think, makes it quite interesting. I know we're not signed, well, I'm not teaching history, so I can't go fully into depth to everything, but sometimes, especially, when you know the background, there's some intrigue. Sometimes things have happened, or there's been a bit of a fight between two people in history, and that's affected the science. Sometimes things have gone on, and you think, oh, that wasn't done very well. Sometimes there's really interesting kind of stories behind the motives for how these people did stuff. I think it's really interesting, and I also think that it connects you to it somehow. Actually, the comments, yeah, I think it makes that bridge, right? I think you're spot on between the physics and the actual reality of the situation. I think it makes it more fun and kind of, I don't know, hopefully it makes it more engaging. So one thing I did do is that a few years ago, my lectures were in 2-hour chunks. So the timetabling gave me 2-hour blocks to do my lectures. And I felt that was a bit too long. I know this is a personal opinion, but I think that that's too long a period of time to try to concentrate on that particular subject. So I got the timetabling to change it. And I think, was it last year? Yeah, last year or the year before, I swapped it. And I have more classes now in the timetabled week, but they're all limited to an hour. And for me, I think that's better because it means I can talk about one kind of topic, if you like, or one kind of focused idea within that hour. And I think that's clearer then for the students. That is the topic for that particular hour. And then they can go away and they can do a different topic or go to a different lecture. And they're kind of moving between the lecture theatres. It helps break it up. I think if you're sitting there for 2 hours, that's quite a long time to be doing the same subject. Even though I used to try to put breaks in and activities and quizzes, that's still quite a long period of time. But anyway, I'm looking forward to the term starting. Now, come back to me in a few weeks' time, and I might look, slightly tired from doing all the classes and trying to get the conferences in. But right now, I'm looking forward to the semester ahead. I've got my new pens. I'm going to clean my whiteboard because at the moment it's covered in notes from the research program across the summer. So I'll give that a big refresh, and then I'll be good to go. But I hope things are good with you. If you're an academic who's returning and about to start teaching again, I hope you've got a nice timetable, not too many 9 o'clocks and 6 o'clocks in the evening. I hope your schedule looks like it's going to be all right. I hope your campus move-ins are going well and the new students are arriving. It is so nice. I have to remind myself, it's so nice to be able to do these classes back in person. A few years ago, we were doing this all online because of that horrible pandemic situation. And, it is just nice to be able to deliver a live lecture and to get that live feedback from the people that you're discussing the ideas with. So I'm looking forward to that. I will show you my new plant when I do pick one up. In fact, maybe I'll give you a little bit of an office tour so you can see how I've rearranged the office. And I'm going to stick with the videos at 1 p.m. on the 15th of every month. Oh gosh, I was saying you're starting at 8, and sometimes yeah, I know these lecture days are long. I think the students find them long days. I know our students have said that they're quite long days, some of them, but I think for the academics they can be long days as well. So yeah, I think the case here is just to pace ourselves, and I need to remind myself to get lunch, to do some exercise, to try to get enough sleep, to make sure that we have the energy to get all the way through the semester that's coming up. But look after yourselves. I will be back online on the 15th of October. Maybe if that's a weekday, I'll try to do that one from the office so you can have a little tour of what I'm up to. I'll put another video out, gosh, not this Monday, but the following Monday, to let you know how the first week of semester is going. And more of these ones on the focus kind of topics. And then maybe I'll dabble with some other social media and bits and pieces, but I'll keep you posted if I'm going to do that as we go through the semester. But look, thank you for joining. Thank you for giving up a little bit of your Sunday. Thank you for leaving me some lovely comments, as always. Keep looking after yourselves. Have a great rest of the weekend. And I will see and chat to you for more academic chat in the comment section soon. All right, everyone, look after yourselves. Bye.